Today I want to share something with you that crippled me for about 28 years of my life. We all have fears, discomforts, and insecurities deep within us. And the more we try and bury them and push them down, the more they affect our behaviours and our relationships in a very subtle yet incredibly impactful way. These unresolved turmoils often lead to us making demands of others. We project our unmet needs and expectations onto others in our lives, and it can become chaotic and it can become very, very toxic. Now, this came about from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If you've not seen it, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But there's a quote in there from one of the two main characters. You've got Quill and you've got Gamora. And essentially, Quill is trying to convince Gamora to basically fall in love with him. And Gamora comes back and says this quote: "What are you so afraid of within yourself that I have to be something for you?" And that quote rocked me. I had to sit with it for quite a while because that essentially summed up me. And I wanted to share this with you guys today. And what we're essentially doing here with this quote essentially is expecting someone to fulfill some role or expectation that we have of them. We create this story. We create this story and this narrative, and essentially a form of self-torture. Maybe you've done this. Again, you liked a guy, you liked a girl, whatever it was. And what we then do is we go on maybe one date with them, and then we create a fantasy. We fantasize about, wow, this person could be the mother of my kids. Like, I can see myself with this person. This person is everything to me. And what we're doing is we're then projecting our own insecurities and fears onto this person, and we're trying to make them be someone or something that they're not. And we've got this expectation, which is completely unjustified, and it can become very, very toxic. And it makes us appear like the nutter. And again, I've been there many, many times. And that's why I think it hit me so hard, because I look back at the times in my life when I was really struggling. And I was a prolific dater, and I was struggling with my sex addiction. And this was just me to an absolute T. And let's just go from woman to woman to woman and just project. And it wasn't a nice time, which is why I think this quote hit me so hard. So what we need to do is look inwards. We need to look inwards at our fears, which we're going to talk about today, our own fears, and our own source of discomfort, rather than expect someone to resolve them for us, rather than expecting someone to actually save us, rather than expecting someone to be this thing or this person, because we're trying to force them to be something or someone that they actually aren't, and they can never fulfill that. And the expectation we put on them is so unrealistic, and that's where the problems occur. So let's talk about confronting our inner fears. Now, some common fears that we all struggle with. Fear of failure. A lot of us fear failure, and a lot of the time it leads us to not even trying because we don't want to disappoint ourselves, or more importantly, disappoint other people. It's that fear of, what if? What are they going to think of me? So we just don't even try. And this all goes back to the beliefs we have about ourselves. This fear comes from a deep-rooted belief and identity that we hold of ourselves. That's a whole other podcast in and of itself. A lot of fear of judgment, like that criticism, or rejection. Can you take criticism? Do you want criticism, or do you just always see it as rejection, as that you're not good enough, even if someone's trying to be constructive and help you? Because this can then lead us to becoming a people pleaser. Like, we're so afraid of criticism or rejection that we just go along with. They say something, yeah, okay, no problem, because we don't want someone to say, listen, like, that's not cool, like, whatever it is, we just can't handle it. Fear of judgment. Have you linked the two? Are you a people pleaser? And have you linked that people pleasing to a fear of judgment, that fear of rejection? Very, very powerful. Fear of unworthiness. This is me to a T. I say is me, was me to a T. Was me to an absolute T. In year 11, my history teacher, in front of the whole class, stood me up and said, "You are never going to amount to anything in your life." And I held that with me for so long. So anytime I got any sort of success, I would destroy it. But it was all built on that feeling of inadequacy. And it also showed up into my relationships, which is why I think it's so powerful with this whole Guardians of the Galaxy quote, because I was unable to accept love. At one point in my life, I was dating a beauty queen. She was Miss Darby, and I broke up with her saying the words, "I am too good for you." That's the kind of guy that I was. That's how bad my ego was. But what I really meant was, I said, "I'm too good for you." What I really meant was, you are way too good for me. I cannot accept the love that you're giving me because I fundamentally hate myself and I do not feel worthy to be with you or in your presence. So I had to push them away. And that was the pattern of my entire life. I could not accept any love. I could not receive it because I had that fundamental fear of unworthiness. So what we try and do, we try to be perfect. It's just completely unrealistic, and it just causes more and more pain. So how do these fears then actually hold us back in life? Well, obviously the one about the fear of failure is a very obvious one. We avoid risks and new challenges because we just don't want to fear. We don't want to fail at all. So we just fear doing anything. We don't try. We don't try for that job promotion. We don't try asking that person out. We don't try that PB at the gym. We don't try to start that new business. We don't try to move our life forward because what if we fail? What will other people think? And then we stay silent rather than speaking up for ourselves because we don't want to be rejected. What are the people going to say? So we don't speak our truth. We just become a people pleaser. And every single time we say yes to somebody else without speaking our truth, a little part of us just dies. Not literally dies. It's always there. That best version of you is always there, but it's just quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter. And you just feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And we can't figure out why it is. It's because you're suppressing that best version of you. You're suppressing your true voice. You're not standing up for yourself. And every time we do that, a little part of you just goes quieter and quieter and quieter. And we reject care from others because of feeling unworthy. As I just mentioned, that was me to an absolute T. Every single relationship. I've had some incredible women in my life. Truly incredible. And I've had to do a lot of work on the guilt and shame that I had surrounded on and how I treated them due to my own unworthiness. And then also it can show up by us maintaining walls because vulnerability feels dangerous. We don't like to be vulnerable with ourselves or with other people. So we just keep this wall up, we keep this guard up. So how do these fears drive our projections and expectations of others? Well, essentially what we want to do is we want others to remove risks. We want them to remove the risk for us so that there's no need for us to try and potentially fail. Like if you remove the risks, then we'll do this thing. Or we need them to provide constant validation so that we don't feel judged. We need them to validate us every single day. Is that what you're looking for in a partner? Do you need your partner to constantly validate you? Where's that come from? Or we need them to make us feel loved or worthy since we can't do it ourselves. So again, kind of linked to that validation. Like we don't feel good enough about ourselves, so we need that person. Please make me feel loved, make me feel worthy. Are you constantly seeking that reassurance? Tell me that you love me. Tell me they're not going to leave. And also, we need them to open up first so we don't have to be vulnerable. You go first, I'm going to keep my guard up a little bit, and then they open up and say, oh, do I really want to? So then how do we actually then take responsibility for our own fears and our own discomforts without putting them onto other people? Because trying to make others responsible for our insecurities through projections only pushes people further and further away. It won't make them close to us. What we really want is love. We want that closeness, we want the connection. What we're doing by projecting our insecurities onto these other people, it's pushing them further and further away, which leads us to being even more isolated and giving us the opposite of what we truly actually want. We've got this need. We want to be loved. We want to be seen and heard. But actually what we're doing is pushing these people further and further away. So we need to first own our fears and coping with our issues rather than displacing them onto other people. So rather than putting them on other people, we need to actually deal with them. So what does it actually look like? So first thing is noticing the projections. Catch yourself making unfair demands. Now this comes down to self-awareness. This is a big step. Starting to notice your behaviours. Because what's happening is we're very quick to blame partners, ex-partners, current girlfriends, whatever it is. First of all, we take responsibility. Take responsibility. What part can you play in this? Because you know full well when you're projecting. You know it. And it can make you come across like a bad person. You're not a bad person at all. You just need that self-awareness to know what you're doing. So we need to notice the projections. Catch yourself making unfair demands. Number 2, identify the roots. Again, looking inwards. The answers that you seek are in here. You can't get them externally. No one's going to give you the answers. I can't give you the answers for you. I can't. I can just show you where to look. You've got to enter that cave. There's that cave. So that quote, the cave you fear to enter holds the greatest treasures. You have to turn inwards. You have to ask yourself the questions. You have to identify your own roots. Find that true source of your discomforts. Sit with that. Accept ownership. Admit your fears belong to you, not other people. Your fears belong to you, not others. And then sit with that discomfort. Allow yourself to actually feel these fears. Stop avoiding them. Through sex, through drugs, through alcohol, whatever it is. Stop avoiding the discomfort. Actually sit down with it. Sit with your feelings. How are you actually feeling? If you're not sure in words how you're feeling, what colour would you be? If you could be a colour, what colour would it be? What shape would you be? The other day, I came out with, I'd be a dark navy blue square because I felt like my life, although it had been rolling smoothly, I just felt like it was very clicky and clunky. I felt like a square wheel trying to move, very clicky, clunky. It was blue. I don't know why, but it really helped me actually sit with myself and actually identify this discomfort that I was feeling. And stop seeking external validation and actually start seeking internal validation. Find that source of self-worth within yourself that's beyond other people's views. Start to actually love the amazing, unique things about you. You are an incredible person. You have some incredible, unique qualities. Stop looking for other people to validate your existence. Validate your own existence. Find amazing things about yourself. Validate your own existence. If you took any value from today's episode, don't forget to like and share it with a friend. I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.